Hey guys, it's Ray. I've turned this minivan into a fully loaded off-grid adventure machine. On top, this thing is stacked. 4 crossbars, a 6-foot Thule roof box, solar panels, propane tanks, more gearboxes, a privacy shower tent, and a massive 270-degree awning.
And that's just the outside.
Inside, it's next level. A folding sofa bed, a portable kitchen with running water, a butcher block counter with stove and air fryer. Yes, really. Plus a microwave, side storage, under storage, tote storage, food storage, 16 gallons of fresh water, a whopping 2,700 watt hours of lithium power, and even a hidden toilet because, you know, nature calls.
But wait, there's more.
Back here, I've got a swing-out cargo carrier packed with a generator, 2 5-gallon buckets, a stepladder, a camp chair, and more.
So how did I get all those amenities packed into 35 square feet? Let's check it out. I started by moving the seats all the way forward so I could have extra space, and that gives me plenty of leg room down here. It also gave me a place to put this sink module up front.
This is the second build of the sink box. The first one was wider and way too heavy. It had thicker wood, a big deep sink, and a pull-out drawer for a coffee pot that I never used.
And this version weighs half as much and is just wide enough that it doesn't touch the driver's seat, so I can leave it in place while I'm driving. I used a mixing bowl for the sink. I just drilled a hole and put a drain in it.
It lifts in and out for easy cleaning, and it slides right inside the gray water tank below. Here's a closer look at the 3-gallon water jugs I'm using. They weigh about 24 pounds when they're full. You can get these at any Walmart. I keep 2 more of these stored on the passenger side floorboard for drinking water. The faucet is a USB rechargeable pump that's made to sit on top of a water jug in an office. I made a wooden mount for it, and then I run this blue hose down and around the back where I use a quick connect adapter to the hose coming from inside the freshwater tank, and they just click together like this. Inside the freshwater tank, I have a filter connected to the end of the hose coming from the pump. It fits through the top of the jug and it just rests on the bottom. Now here's some pics from the cabinet build. Countertops covered in a white stick-on tile. I installed a waterproof power outlet flush with the counter for my electric water kettle. And then I made the backsplash with 100 national park stickers. I really love the pop of color and the inspiration I get from looking at them. The top of the backsplash has a ledge for a small TV. The wiring and the cables are attached on the back. On the left side of the box, I've got a remote switch for an inverter. I'll talk about that later. And I have quick connect power ports for the TV and a Roku streaming player. I designed it this way so I can unplug the power and move the cabinet back if I want a passenger in the front seat, or I can even remove the sink module completely.
So here you can see the backsplash sits up pretty high. It's got a sharp edge on it, which could be trouble in an accident if my head swings this way. So I added these hinged, quick release shelf brackets, making it easy to fold down and out of the way when I'm driving. The cabinet has a slot here for a narrow trash can that has another secret trash can mounted behind it that I can access from the front to be used while driving. Under that, I've got storage for aluminum foil, wax paper, or whatever. And then over here, I have 3 pull-out drawers. The top 2 are for coffee. Up here, I've got coffee beans and that clever dripper thing, which I'll tell you more about later. It's pretty damn cool. So up here, I have a magnetic spice rack. And to keep these stuck on while I'm bouncing around, I put an extra little magnet there in the back to help hold it on tight and everything. And then underneath that, I've got some bottles here for olive oils and other things, and I made them out of plastic so they don't bounce around and break in van life, and they got little shock cords here, hold them in place. But the best thing is it's removable, so I can pull this thing out, take it with me when I want to cook outside. To the left of the sink, I have my air fryer and a double burner stove on a long butcher block countertop. And then under that, I have a small cabinet. So I have this microwave in here, and I just lift this door down, grab the handle, pull it out. I put tiny wheels on the bottom so I can roll it in and out. For cold food, I have 2 20-quart 12-volt portables. I use the back one as a freezer and the one in front as a fridge, and I can easily reach everything while I'm sitting down. These really help you stay off grid longer. For dry food storage, I have some baskets under the bed that hold a lot. I've got rice, pasta, chips, tortillas, applesauce, peanut butter, and even some stuff for baking. On the shelf here, I have fresh fruit, a few books, some more cooking stuff, and under that I can store a lot of canned goods, some pots and pans, and a strainer. And then on the other side, I have some airtight containers for nuts, cereal, and a bread keeper. Up here I've got a place for my TV remote, my headphones, and a tissue holder. Under that, I have storage for my electric kettle, some propane bottles, and a phone charger that I use during the day when I'm sitting up. I have a second charger in the back that I can reach more easily when I'm lying in bed. I've got the mandatory fire extinguisher, a very important no soliciting sign, a hook to hold my baseball hats, and below that, I've got a tiny broom and a little dustpan. I have a couple more storage bins on the front passenger seat. I keep most of my daily clothes rolled up inside those, but I do have a suitcase with more clothes and shoes and a garment bag in the roof storage box. For eating, I just use a TV tray balanced on my lap. I've been doing it for years and I'm pretty used to it. And I keep my drink on the counter. And when I need to get some work done, that same tray doubles as a desk. I just flip it over, set up my laptop, and I'm good to go. When I'm done cooking at night, I put the air fryer in the stove on this shelf I made that sits on top of the front seats and the steering wheel. Here's a closer look at the shelf. On the front, it balances on the steering wheel. I take the headrests off the seats and it just sits on top. I have a little wood block mounted on both sides that wedges between the seat and the handles. And here on the other side, you can see the quick connect rail that I use for mounting it outside as a table. And here's a photo of the shelf stored in front of the sofa in transit mode. I use it to secure the sink, compost bin, and the stove using bungee cords. And now for the most unique part of this build. You probably noticed these hinges here on the countertop. Well, I just take this part of the countertop, fold it back here, and it has some magnets that hold it in place. And then I lean it up, the fan pivots out of the way, and now I have access to this beautiful box, which, you guessed it, is my emergency toilet. Here I've opened it up so you can see how it's made. Down here I've got a low profile wood box with a couple of wood dividers. Up here is a custom 3D printed urine diverter that I designed to go into this very, very small water jug. That's right in there. And then instead of a 5-gallon bucket, I use a 3-gallon bucket with a flat edge, very short. It snugs in right there. And then of course I line it with a paper bag. Here's a quick look at what I use as cover material. Right beside the toilet, I keep a small black bin with cedar wood shavings. Just toss a couple scoops into the lined bucket, do your business, and cover it with a couple more scoops. And finally, in the bottom left corner, I have a small exhaust fan that I use, and here's a custom built charcoal filter that snaps on top of it and keeps all of the smells out. Now let's talk about the convertible sofa bed. I got a lot of inspiration from the YouTube channel Eric Enjoys Earth. I'll put a link in the description so you can check out his videos. This design is very common in van life. It's basically a wood platform cut into 4 equal pieces and hinged together in a couple of places. And that works for most people, but it wasn't comfortable for me because I have really long legs. So for my second build, I made the seat board longer than the other 3 pieces. This gave me more support for my legs and it feels much better. I also created an extra thinner cushion to use only as a seat back. This lets me recline just a little bit more so I'm not sitting up as straight. So if you're taller like me, consider those 2 changes for extra comfort. You'll notice I drilled holes in the platform pieces to save a little weight and for added ventilation. I also wanted a thick mattress. This one is 5 inches. And since I don't have the headroom that you do in a bigger van, I had to lower the bed frame, leaving less than 5 inches of clearance for storage underneath. And to make the conversion from sofa to bed easier, I used 500-pound heavy-duty drawer slides. Here's how it works. To pull it out, I slide these out of the way, and unhook the drawer thing, pull it, and then it snaps into place. The bed is 30 inches wide and 75 inches long, and it's pretty comfortable. If you'd like to see a detailed video of the bed build, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. The first thing you notice about the outside of this van, it's not stealthy. It has 3 gearboxes, a Thule roof box, 3 solar panels, and a really big awning. And all that added height raises the clearance of this short minivan to a whopping 7 feet 3 inches tall. All right, so to get into these gearboxes, I just unhook these straps from the front that hold down the solar panel, and now go to the back and I undo these 2 straps like this, and now I have access to the boxes. So now I get onto this bucket here, like this. I take these 2 little prop rods and I can lift up the solar panel like this, and that holds it up so I can get into the boxes. Got room to throw my trash into there. Then this box comes out, and then I can take this box and I sit it down on the ground somewhere. So now I take this prop rod and I'm able to lift the solar panels all the way up, and this holds it. And now I can get into the storage unit and get all the junk out of it and throw it on the ground. Another benefit to propping the solar panels up
is having a direct angle to the sun once it starts dropping in the afternoon. I get a lot more watts in a day with them sitting up like this.
So I took the solar wiring and I ran it through the back hatch at the top here and covered it with some white Gorilla Tape that's waterproof. And believe it or not, this does not leak. And then it peeks in through here and wraps all the way down to the left side. And then it carries across the bottom and then it goes underneath and into the Blue Eddy power station.
Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a detailed video about the solar setup. I can show how I combined the panels, how I created the hinge, and how I mounted it securely to the top.
Now here's something I never thought I'd see on camera. Let's take a look at the junk in my trunk. First, I got to get rid of all this stuff. Start over here on the right side, and under here is the power station. This is a Blue Eddy AC200 Max. I've got my AC inputs that run up to the sink module. One runs to the cube on the countertop. One is hidden right now, and it runs on the left side over to the microwave. Then I have some USB cables. One is a 100-watt power delivery here, and this runs to my computer up through the left side. It's hidden. Then I have two USBs that run over to the right side that power either one of those phone chargers that I have. Then this is a DC plug that goes to my CPAP machine that has to run overnight. This is DC out. This is a 30 amp output that runs underneath everything up to the fuse panel.
This panel provides circuit protection for all my 12-volt stuff, like my fridge and freezer, the water pump for my shower, my awesome window fan, and my little TV. On the back side of the fuse panel, I have a 1,000-watt pure sine wave inverter that I use to charge the Blue Eddy when I'm driving or when I don't have enough sun for the solar. And just to be safe, I have a 200-amp inline circuit breaker between the inverter and the starter battery. Another great thing about the power station is that I can monitor and control it via Bluetooth app. I can easily see how much solar is coming in and how much power I'm using. And probably the best thing is that I don't have to go outside and around to the back when I want to turn the AC inverter on and off. I can do it all from the phone.
Now under this hatch on the left side, I have some storage for paper goods, paper towels, and toilet paper and Kleenex. This is the charger that I have for the Blue Eddy here. And then down here is a 7-gallon water tank for showers only. Down here I have a quick connect, and this goes into here. You just have to line up these little threads, lock it into place like that. You take the hose, turn on the power supply, and you got a little bit of water there. It's still building up pressure.
This is how the private shower area looks once I have it set up. I have two shower curtains hanging on a 16-foot tent pole that I bend in half and thread into these tiny eye bolts on my roof rack. I have two on either side. Then I use one of my awning support poles to hold up the edge farthest from the van. That pole sits inside a plastic weight on the ground to keep it from moving, and I use spring clamps to hold the shower curtain in place. Here's a look at the water pressure. It's pretty good and definitely strong enough for a shower. Just a quick note, I installed a suspension enhancement system to be able to hold the extra weight in my trunk. The water tank weighs over 55 pounds full, the power station is 65. So that's an extra 120 pounds, not including all the wood framing and the fridge and the freezer. So before you load up the rear end, be sure to check if your vehicle can handle that extra weight.
So for privacy at night, I made these window shades, and I started with a shower curtain that I cut and I spray glued onto Reflectix for insulation. And then I also glued it to Coroplast in the back, and I put black gaffer's tape to hold it around the edges, and I have a tab right here to pull it out. But when you go to shove it in this window, it is so tight, it really takes a little bit of muscle. You bend it in, it's gonna go, I promise. And then you push it in, but once it is in, it does not come out. It doesn't let any light in. So this shelf has two quick connects on it, and I hooked the monopod up down here.
As the saying goes, everything in van life has to serve two or more purposes. I can take the shelf from inside and use it outside as a workbench.
So then remember this yellow bucket? I come in here, it's where I keep some of my tools.
Even on the road, I like to tinker, like to build stuff. This setup gives me room to work. And when I need to recharge batteries for my power tools, I have a charger mounted right in here. On a day like today when it's super hot outside, I'm really glad I paid the extra money for this high-end window tint. It's called nano ceramic and it keeps the temperature 15 degrees cooler inside the van. Then I have this 12-volt fan that's really popular on boats. It tilts up and down, it rotates in any direction, it locks into place, and it's super efficient. It draws less than 4.5 watts on the high setting. I've mounted it just inside the window and above the countertop so it doubles as an exhaust fan when cooking. For added safety, I've got a smoke detector
mounted up high. And down low, I have a combination propane natural gas detector. And farther down from that, I have a carbon monoxide alarm. So you know earlier when I said I like to cook inside and outside? Here's how I make that happen. I've got that same shelf, but this time it's hooked on the passenger side. I've got my stove ready out here. I've picked the faucet up and brought it outside, running it through this second mount out here. And I run that tube back there to the tanks. Grab the sink from inside, put it out here, put a little gray water tank underneath there, and voila, we're cooking outside. And what could be better than that? How about some shade? That's more like it. It is hot out here, and I wish I could snap my fingers and get a clean shirt, but I'm all out of snaps. So until next time, thanks for watching.